You know when you're sitting at the airport looking out at the tarmac and you see one of those massive planes and you just kind of think, how? I mean, how does that giant metal bird weighing hundreds of tons actually get off the ground? It honestly feels like it should be impossible, like pure magic. Well, today we're going to pull back that curtain and break down the incredible science that makes it all happen.
And seriously, just wrap your head around that for a second. We're talking about a machine that's heavier than a blue whale, just lifting itself off the ground and cruising at 35,000 feet. It seems like it's breaking one of the most basic rules of the universe, gravity. But here's the thing, it isn't. It's just outsmarting it.
And the secret to outsmarting gravity? Well, it all comes down to this really delicate but super powerful dance between four fundamental forces. These are the forces that control everything that flies, from the tiniest little insect to the biggest jumbo jet. It's this constant battle happening up in the sky, and if you can understand that, you can understand flight.
All right, so let's meet the main characters in this cosmic tug-of-war. We've got lift, weight, thrust, and drag. You can think of them as two pairs of opposites, always pulling and pushing against each other. And really, the entire art and science of flying is just about managing the balance between these four.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the hero of our story, lift. This is that invisible hand that literally scoops the plane up into the air, fighting directly against gravity. And it's generated almost entirely by the super unique shape of the airplane's wings.
And who is lift's constant opponent? That would be weight. This is gravity, pure and simple. It's always trying to pull the plane back down. So for an airplane to even start its climb, the force of lift has to be stronger than its entire weight. That's the plane, the passengers, all the luggage, everything.
Now let's look at the horizontal forces. You've got thrust. This is the powerhouse, right? It's the forward muscle that's created by the engines. Doesn't matter if it's a propeller spinning or a jet engine blasting out hot air, thrust is what shoves the plane forward.
And fighting thrust every single inch of the way is drag. The easiest way to think about drag is just air friction. As the plane tries to move forward, the air pushes back on it, trying to slow it down. So thrust has to constantly fight to overcome that resistance.
So here it is, the whole battlefield laid out. You've got this vertical duel going on, lift pulling up, weight pulling down. And at the same time, you've got the horizontal duel, thrust pushing forward, drag pulling back. Every single moment of a flight is about a pilot and the plane managing which one of these forces gets the upper hand.
So let's zoom in on our hero force, lift. Because this is probably the most clever part of how an airplane is designed. How in the world does a wing, just by slicing through the air, create this unbelievable upward force?
Well, it all comes down to shape and speed. If you look at a wing, you'll see it's curved on the top, but it's flatter on the bottom. So as the plane barrels down the runway, the air splits. Now, because of that curve, the air going over the top has to travel a longer distance to meet up with the air from the bottom, so it's forced to speed up. And here's the kicker. Thanks to a guy named Bernoulli, we know that faster-moving air creates less pressure. So now you have low pressure on top of the wing and higher pressure underneath it. And that difference, it creates a push from below. And that, my friends, is lift.
Okay, so that's how the plane gets up. But what about getting it forward? For that, we've got to look at that other epic battle, the one between thrust and its arch-nemesis, drag.
The whole idea behind thrust comes straight from good old Isaac Newton. A jet engine basically sucks in a ton of air, squeezes it, mixes it with fuel, lights it on fire, and then blasts that super hot air out the back at incredible speed. That is the action, and Newton's third law tells us that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that reaction is the engine, and the whole plane with it, getting pushed forward.
So it's this constant tug-of-war. The engines are generating all this thrust, pushing forward, but at the same time, the air is creating drag, trying to hold it back. For the plane to speed up, thrust has to win. It's really that simple. And that is exactly why every single surface on a modern plane is designed to be as sleek and smooth as possible. It's all about cheating the air and making that drag as weak as you can.
So now that we've met all the players, we can actually watch how their little dance changes throughout a typical flight. Let's think of it like a story in 3 acts: takeoff, cruise, and landing. Okay, so during takeoff, the pilot goes full throttle. Thrust massively overpowers drag to build up speed, and that speed helps lift quickly overpower weight so the plane can climb. Then you get to the long cruise part of the flight, and here everything just chills out in a perfect balance. Lift equals weight, and thrust equals drag. The plane just sails along.
Finally, for landing, the whole thing goes in reverse. The pilot cuts the power, so drag becomes stronger than thrust to slow the plane down, and lift is reduced so it's less than weight, which lets the plane make a nice controlled descent back to the ground.
But of course, flying isn't just about going forward and up. A pilot has to be able to steer the thing, right? To keep it stable. And to do that, they have a special set of tools, these moving surfaces built right into the wings and the tail.
So let's take a quick peek at the pilot's toolkit. Out on the edges of the wings, you have the ailerons. They let the pilot roll the plane from side to side, which is how they bank into a turn. Then on the tail, you have elevators that control the pitch, that's pointing the nose up or down. That big fin on the tail, the rudder, controls yaw, which steers the nose left and right. And finally, you have flaps, those big panels that extend out from the wings. They're absolutely crucial for creating extra lift at slower speeds, especially for takeoff and landing.
So, we've gone through the four forces, how a wing is shaped, the controls a pilot uses, and it seems incredibly complicated, right? But what is so amazing is that these principles, they're universal.
So think about all this complex science we just talked about, this intricate balance of four different forces, the laws of Newton, all the principles of air pressure.
All of that is the exact same physics that makes a paper airplane fly. I mean, think about it. The thrust from your throw, the lift from those little paper wings, the weight of the paper, and the drag from the air, it's the same dance, just on a much, much smaller scale. The science is exactly the same.
So in the end, flight isn't magic. Not at all. It's just a beautiful, really elegant application of physics, a constant, perfectly managed tug of war. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other things in our world feel like magic, but are really just incredible science that we're waiting to understand?